The road has been long, filled with miracles, hope, and faith. But every step has been leading here, toward the darkest hour. An hour when heaven seems silent and the world holds its breath. This is not just another chapter. This is the moment that will break hearts, test faith, and Chan. The story of the chosen has carried us through the laughter of friends, the awe of miracles, and the warmth of words that touched thousands of hearts. We have watched a carpenter walk among the poor, the sick, the forgotten, and bring them hope when hope was nowhere to be found. Every healing, every parable, every tear shed by those who followed him. These were not just events. They were signs. Signs that the world was about to turn upside down. But now, the time of wonder is giving way to something heavier. Something no one wanted, yet something that must happen. The teacher who calmed storms, who fed the hungry, who lifted the broken, now walks toward his greatest trial. The friends who once stood strong at his side feel the weight of fear pressing in. The streets that once echoed with cries of joy now whisper with betrayal and anger. And the man at the center of it all carries a burden that no one else could carry. This is not only the story of pain, it is the story of a choice. His choice. To love until the very end. To step forward when everyone else would run away. To take on suffering so that hope would not die. The world thought it was breaking him. But in truth, he was breaking the chains that held the world. The season ahead does not shy away from the cost of this mission. It shows us what it truly meant to walk this path. The mocking crowds, the shadow of the cross, the silence of heaven that felt unbearable. Yet within that silence, something greater is rising, something eternal. This is where the story turns. This is where faith is tested not with words but with wounds. And though the scene may seem drenched in sorrow, a light waits just beyond the horizon. Everything. The night is heavy. The air itself feels restless, as though creation knows what is about to unfold. In the shadows of a quiet garden, prayers rise like broken cries, words trembling with sorrow. A cup of suffering is offered, and though the weight is unbearable, he does not turn away. His friends, weary and confused, cannot see the storm that is about to break. Sleep takes them while danger draws near. Then torches flare. The silence shatters. Footsteps echo against stone, sharper with every strike of the soldier's boots. And there, among them, is not only the enemy, but a friend. A face once trusted. A voice once welcomed, now speaking betrayal with a kiss. That single moment cuts deeper than any sword. The teacher is handed over not to strangers, but to men he had shared bread with. Chains rattle. Hands that once healed are bound. The disciples stumble between fear and anger, some ready to fight, others ready to flee. The courage of words fades in the face of iron spears. And as he is led away, eyes filled with sorrow meet his gaze. He does not curse. He does not resist. He walks forward willingly, knowing the pain that waits. The night swells with chaos. Shouts rise, torches dance in the dark, and the ground trembles with the weight of what has begun. Heaven itself seems to mourn as the chosen path unfolds step by step. This is no accident. This is no defeat. This is the plan written since the beginning of time, now moving toward its breaking point. The world believes it sees weakness, yet in the calmness of his face, there is strength no power on earth could shatter. Every lash, every chain, every sneer from the crowd is answered with silence. And that silence is louder than thunder. For while men think they are seizing control, what is really happening is love, poured out without measure. The hill rises against the sky, silent yet filled with the cries of the crowd. The air grows darker, heavier, as if the sun itself cannot bear to look upon what is about to happen. Soldiers push forward, their armor clashing, their voices harsh. And at the center of it all, he stumbles beneath the weight of wood, a cross rough and splintered, cutting into his shoulders. Each step is slow, yet each step is chosen. He is not dragged unwillingly. He carries it, knowing why. The people watch. Some jeer, their voices sharp like knives. Some weep, unable to lift their eyes. Mothers hold their children close, shielding them from the sight, while others point as though mocking a broken man. The disciples linger in the distance, torn between love and fear, their hearts breaking as the teacher they once followed with joy now walks toward death. Then the moment comes. The cross is laid upon the earth. His hands that touched lepers and gave sight to the blind, are stretched out, nailed to the wood. The sound of iron-piercing flesh tears through the air. Each strike of the hammer echoes like thunder across the hill, shaking both earth and soul. Pain floods the scene, yet his voice remains steady. No curse escapes his lips, only mercy. Above his head, a sign is placed. King of the Jews. The crowd laughs, soldiers gamble for his robe, and the sky grows darker still. The crown of thorns rests upon his brow, blood running like rivers down his face. Yet even in agony, his eyes hold something the world cannot understand. Not hate, not despair, but love. Love strong enough to endure nails, thorns, and shame. The world sees a man broken on a cross. Heaven sees the Lamb who carries the weight of all sin. The sky groans, the earth trembles, and creation itself seems to cry out at the sight. Every breath he takes is a battle, every word a gift. And in those final hours, the greatest act of love is being written not with ink, but with blood. The hill grows quiet. The voices that once mocked now fall into uneasy whispers. The sky has turned black at midday, and the ground shakes as though the earth itself cannot bear the weight of this moment. On the cross, the Savior breathes his final words. Words not of anger, but of forgiveness. Words that promise paradise to the lost, comfort to the broken, and love to the very ones who pierced him. And then, silence. A silence deeper than night, heavier than stone. The crowd disperses, uncertain. Some beat their chests in grief. Some walk away in fear, and others remain frozen, unable to understand what they have seen. The soldiers stand guard, convinced the story has ended. His followers hide in shadows, their hearts torn in two. The teacher who once calmed storms is now wrapped in death. Hope, it seems, has been buried with him. A tomb is sealed. A stone rolls into place. Darkness covers not just the land, but the hearts of those who believed. Every laugh they once shared, every lesson he once taught, now feels like a memory fading into dust. The disciples scatter, afraid of what tomorrow might bring. The women weep, their tears falling like rain against the cold earth. All seems lost, all seems over, but even in this silence, something stirs. In the stillness of the grave, heaven is not finished. The story does not end in the shadows of defeat. For when the world thinks all is broken, God is preparing to make all things new. What man sees as tragedy, heaven proclaims as triumph. Behind the stone, in the silence, victory waits to break forth. The cross was not the end. It was the beginning of a new dawn. And though the world may tremble in sorrow now, a light is already rising, ready to pierce the darkness forever. The story is not over. The greatest chapter is about to begin. The darkness lifts slowly, like the curtain at the end of a long night. The silence of the grave cannot last forever. What was sealed by stone will not remain closed. The cross was the price. The tomb was the silence. But dawn is coming, and with it, life that death cannot contain. Season 6 of The Chosen does not simply tell a story. It carries us to the breaking point of history, the very moment where sorrow collides with hope. It shows us that even in the face of betrayal, pain, and death, love does not fail. Love rises, love wins, and it is this victory that echoes through centuries, reaching every heart that dares to believe. This is more than a series. It is an invitation to stand at the foot of the cross, to feel the weight of the nails, and then to lift your eyes toward the dawn of resurrection. To see that even in silence God was speaking, even in darkness, light was waiting. The journey does not end with the crucifixion. The journey begins again at an empty tomb. So prepare your heart, prepare your soul, for what is coming will not only break you, it will rebuild you. It will remind you that the story of sacrifice is also the story of salvation, that the cross was never the end, but the doorway to everything new. The Chosen Season 6 is not just about what happened then. It is about what is still happening now. Hope is alive. The story lives on, and the world will never be the same. The screen fades to black. A single light shines in the shape of a cross, and then the words appear, "The Chosen Season 6, coming soon." The story of the cross does not fade when the screen goes dark. It lingers, it breathes, it follows us into every moment of silence, every question we carry, every wound we try to hide. For the crucifixion is not only history, it is the heartbeat of humanity, a reminder that suffering can hold meaning, that sacrifice can birth hope, that love can rewrite destiny. Season 6 of The Chosen dares to take us to that place where faith is tested most, to the shadows where disciples scattered, to the silence where prayers felt unanswered, to the night when the world believed it had won. And yet through every frame one truth breaks through. This was never defeat. It was the beginning of victory written before time itself. The cross is not simply wood and nails. It is the meeting place of heaven and earth. It is the place where judgment and mercy collide, where despair and hope embrace. And as you watch, you are not just a spectator. You are part of it. His choice was not only for them, not only for that day, but for every soul, for every future, for every heart still searching for light. So when the screen fades, the story does not end. It begins again, inside you. The question is no longer what happened on that hill, but what happens now, in your heart, in your life. Will you walk away like the crowd, or will you stand at the cross and see the love that changes everything? The Chosen Season 6 does more than retell a scene. It invites you into the greatest story ever told. And when the stone rolls away, when the dawn breaks, when hope steps out of the grave, everything changes. Forever. The music falls silent. The light of the cross glows brighter. And then, a single whisper breaks through the darkness. The story is not over. The world thought the cross was the end, but heaven called it the beginning. Season 6 will not just show the sorrow. It will reveal the glory. The stone will roll away. The light will rise, and the story will live on. The Chosen Season 6. Not just a series. A story that changes everything. Coming soon.